everybody, this is Miss Chrissy from the Newton Falls Public Library. I'm bringing you back to my garden today. I didn't really know what I was going to talk to you about in my next garden video until Miss Barb sent me a video of her own. In it, she shows me some worms that are eating her broccoli and her Brussels sprouts, and she wanted to know what they were and what to do about them. So I thought I'd do a quick video for you about garden pests. The pests in particular that Barb has are called cabbage looper worms. They're called cabbage because they do like cabbage. They in fact like what we call the brassicas. That's a whole family of vegetables that includes your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, your cabbage. And that's what they like to eat best. So if you go into your garden, they're only going to be on those plants. They're called looper worms actually because of the way they move. If you've ever seen an inchworm move, they go from being flat and then they take their tail and kind of make it meet up with their head, and they've got a loop on their body in the middle. So that makes a loop. And then they flatten out again, and that's how they move. That's why we call them looper worms. These are my broccoli plants, and if you zoom in a little bit, you can see that they have been chewed on somewhat. There's a lot of holes in those leaves. So the most basic method of getting rid of our looper worms is just by picking them off. I don't in particular like to touch them. I'm a little squeamish about squishing things, so I have a set of tweezers that I use. So these are my tweezers, and just a little cup with water in it and a little bit of dish soap, and that'll take care of them. The other thing you can do is encourage habitat for animals that will eat these worms. So you'll notice in my bed, right next to my broccoli, I have this row of dill. And dill is an herb that the insects that eat this particular worm like. So I'm encouraging them to come into the garden, and then by them being there, they'll eat the worms. The other thing I have kind of by accident is I have a lot of things here in my garden, fencing and stuff that the birds like to perch on. You actually want those perching birds around. You want them to sit on your fencing and have a place to look down and see the insects in your garden, and they'll swoop down and eat them. The beneficial insect for cabbage looper worms is actually called a trichogramma wasp. That's hard to pronounce, trichogramma wasp. And you can order those online and you can release them in your garden. They're very small. They're not like the wasp you would normally think of, but they attack the cabbage looper worms and they will kill them. So that's a good thing to have in your garden as well. The other simple thing you can do, but you have to do it before you have the problem, is cover your plants, because the worms don't get there on their own actually. They come out of eggs that were laid on those plants by a moth. So if you can prevent the moth from finding your plants, then it won't lay the eggs there and you won't have the problem. So if you have any kind of a frame with a little bit of netting over it, you still want the sun and the rain to be able to get through, but if you want to cover your plant so that a moth can't get in there and lay the egg, then you won't have the eggs and then you won't have the caterpillars. So those are the three real basic ways to get rid of them. You can also dust your plants. There's a kind of a dust you can make up that even something as basic as baking soda and flour. And you can dust the leaves with it, and the caterpillars don't want to eat that, and so they may stay off your plants. When Barb sent me her video about her pests in her garden, I asked around to other staff members to see who else had things going on in their garden, and Miss Emily sent me this picture, which is of some Japanese beetles. I have those in my garden as well. These are my Rudbeckia daisies, and if you take a look there, they definitely have some friends. These are the Japanese beetles that are making a meal of my daisies. These are my purple coneflowers. They're great for pollinators. You can see there's some lovely little bees in there pollinating and getting the pollen on them, but there is also a Japanese beetle. And if you look, see they're just chewing right off my coneflowers. And I can't really catch them on the video, but that's actually what's buzzing around me here too, is the beetles. There are also some simple things you can do with your Japanese beetles. Again, you can actually just go out and pick them off in the mornings, and that is a help even just to remove them. You can make yourself a little spray bottle of water and dish soap and just spray the leaves down with that, and that will keep the Japanese beetles off the plants that you want to protect. Another thing you can do, and you have to plan ahead to do this, but there's something called beneficial nematodes. These are little tiny critters that live in the dirt underneath your plants, and that's actually where the Japanese beetles come from. The Japanese beetles this year will lay eggs, and those eggs will become grubs that will grow in the dirt in your garden, and they'll emerge either later in the season or next year and be more Japanese beetles. And these nematodes that live in the soil, they feed on those grubs that will become Japanese beetles. So if you can encourage those to grow be in your garden and in your dirt, it will actually protect your garden from future infestations of Japanese beetles. So that's a good thing. The other beneficial thing you can have around your garden is actually chickens or guinea hens. These are farm animals that you can get to live in your yard, and they will go around and eat those bugs before they can do too much damage. So having your chickens around or some guinea hens is good for not only Japanese beetles, but they also eat ticks. So if you're having any kind of problem with ticks, they'll eat those as well. They will also eat some of your fresh fruit if you let them. So everything's a balance. Now, it's really easy to dislike insects. There's a lot of things we don't like about them. They can destroy our plants. They can even destroy parts of our homes. They can bite us and make us itchy, and they can even bite us and make us sick. So there's a lot of reasons that it's easy to hate bugs. But the fact of the matter is, all bugs exist for a reason. Everything in nature has a purpose. So just wiping out one particular species because you don't like it often will have unintended consequences, things you don't know that insect is there for. One of my favorite childhood stories when I was a kid is called Be Kind to Spiders. And that is where I think I first got my lessons in how everything has a purpose. Because it's about a zoo, it's about a little zoo, and the people in the zoo decide that they don't like the spiders. There's spiders around and they don't like them, so they decide to get rid of all the spiders. So they go around and clear all the spiders out of the zoo, no more spiders. And then do you know what happens? All of the other insects, particularly the flies, start to take over. There's flies everywhere. There's flies bothering all the animals at the zoo. There's flies bothering all the people at the zoo. And that's how the people learn that the spiders are important, that the spiders are there to control the flies. Everything has a purpose. Everything has something that it eats, and everything has something that eats it. So we want to make sure before we get rid of something in our lives that we understand why it's there. So be kind to spiders. Attached to this video, you'll find two links. One of them is to our summer reading program. By watching this video, you are entered into our summer reading program, so you want to click that link and fill it out, and that way you can be in our drawing. The other one is to a book list. Even though the library's closed, you still have access to a whole bunch of books through our eMedia site. And so there's a link there that will take you to a list of books on controlling garden pests. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys are having a good time at home, and hopefully we'll see you back at the library soon. Bye. I thought that I would do a little video for you about garden pests. Are you about done over there? Yeah, stop it.